Hello, so this video is going to be how to make a cute little cat slash bunny hat for yourself or baby or pet or anyone really. And the beginning of this got deleted and I don't know how, so this is just me re-showing the beginning, which is just making the rim of the hat. And so all I did was chain 9, and depending on how big or small you want the hat to be, you'll chain more or less, but for this demonstration I was just showing on a regular sized hat I would chain 9, but this is going to be a mini hat. But you chain 9 for your ribbing and you go back and forth on it depending on how big or small your hook is, and you just go around and around until the rim of the hat fits around your head. So there's no specific amount of loops or chains for it, just keep going until it fits around your head or the head of the person or pet or stuffed animal that you want to give it to, and you are done with the rim of your hat. And I'll be back after I finish the rim of the hat. The rim of the hat is also done in all half double crochets because my favorite stitch is literally a half double crochet. You can do whatever stitch you want, but I just chose half double crochets, and I did a two-tone hat in light blue and dark blue, but you can do a solid color or you can do two-tone, or this can also be done in double crochets. And yeah, so that's for the rimming of the hat. And there it is. And once you finish this, you can either add another color or you can just keep going back and forth with your ribbing like this. Because again, this will be the edge of your hat. So you just want to go back and forth until this part is long enough to fit around your head. So you can either add a second color like I did here, or, just make it big enough to go around your head. And when I'm finished with this ribbing, I will show you how to connect this piece and start on the actual hat part. And at the end, I will show you how to do the cat ears. So this part is just me connecting the ribbing together for the edge of the hat. Now, a lot of people like to use a needle or crochet it together, but I like to just use my crochet hook and just pull the yarn through. I find that a lot easier some of the times rather than getting a yarn needle and going through all these dramatics. So as you can see in the video, I'm just looping it back and forth, kind of like you tie a shoelace, but you just want to make sure that you get every single hole, otherwise it's going to be uneven. And you can still fix that with a chain of single crochets across the top or the bottom where you want, like basically the part you want to be showing. You can fix it, but it's just better to get them all even. And this is why you want to make sure that your chains are an even number of stitches. I forgot to say that, but just make sure you have an even number of chains, because yeah, it's just a lot easier when things are even. So yeah, this is just me crocheting it together, and basically, yeah, I don't know what else to say, so back to the video. This part is basically just me showing what I like to do with my ends. I'll always tuck in the ends on what I consider to be the inside, so basically the side that's not showing. A lot of people like to cut the ends off, but I don't really like to do that because then you have to tie them to make sure the whole entire thing doesn't go falling apart. And the good thing about weaving in your ends is if you sometimes want to go back to a project and redo it or fix it, it's not as hard to find the ends, and you can kind of unravel it of your own accord. And usually they won't slide open. Like if you want to give it to somebody, you want to make sure it's not gonna unravel and fall apart, and this ensures that it's not gonna unravel and fall apart. So that's why I kind of like to bend the ends evenly through each stitch and kind of weave them inside out. That way they won't fall apart. And what you see me doing immediately after that is just attaching a different color of yarn so I can make the edge of the hat. And what I'm doing, well, not the edge of the hat, but basically the part that covers your head, so the little circle part that you're gonna attach the cat ears to. So what I'm just doing is half double crochets all the way around, and I did about 2 rounds of half double crochet, 1 round of double crochet, and then 1 additional round of half double crochets with decreases. Now I'm not doing as many decreases or rows because this is a mini hat, and if it was a bigger, obviously human-sized hat, I would do more rows, but it depends whether you want your hat to be slouchy or like fitted. So yeah, just do as many rows as fits evenly, but you do need to make enough rows so that you can decrease properly and it looks right when you decrease the hat. I'm sorry for being bad at explaining, but basically, yeah. But don't decrease in the first row. Only decrease when you feel like your hat is long enough to go around your head, and then start decreasing from there. So this part is after I finished, and now I'm just decreasing. So what I did to decrease on my hat was decrease 2, which is just chaining 2 together, and then do 2 regular half double crochets. So chain 2 together, so start a half double crochet, but half double crochet 2 stitches together, and then do 2 regular double crochets, and this kind of creates a little curve and starts to close your hat, because you do want to close the hat. So you need to start closing it. So that's basically me showing this, and I'm rolling up the edge to show like I'm making kind of a little sailor hat and it's closing. So you do want to roll the edge up if it's too long. And yeah, just half double crochet 2 together and do 2 regular half double crochets until your hat closes, and you should get a pretty good even hat close if this was done right. Again, sorry for being bad at explaining. If you need additional help, you can ask and I'll try to write it out. I kind of went out of frame a little bit, so I just cut that part. But basically, once your hat, the hole in your hat gets small enough, you can essentially just, like when you have about 3 or 6 chains left, you can just crochet those all together, and your hat will be small enough for you to just essentially close it with a single crochet. And again, I'm out of frame, so you can't really see, but what I'm doing is just basically attaching all the stitches so that I only have 1 stitch left. And then what I did with that was just loop the yarn kind of the same way that I closed the edge of the hat is the same way I'm closing the top of the hat. You just want to loop it through like this, and like I said, sorry it's out of frame, but yeah. And then at the end just close it basically with a single crochet after you cut your yarn, which is what I was trying to show, even though you can't really see, but yeah. After closing the hole in the hat, I was just looping the tail in and out through the inside of the hat, because you want to hide the tail obviously, because you don't want the hat to unravel. So you want to weave it in nicely in between all the sections, and that's basically just what I'm doing here. So it's not that hard, but just in case you can't really see what I'm doing. After finishing your hat, closing it, and making sure it's nicely adjusted, you kind of want to get rid of all the tails and weave it in properly. And this is just me starting on the cat ears. So what I did was chain 8 And you can see it here, me chaining 8 and making sure that's big enough or small enough to go on top of this hat. Then after you chain 8, what you want to do is 1 row of half double crochet with no decreases, but then the next few rows you want to decrease, which is what I'm kind of trying to show, to make the cat ears, because you want them to turn into a triangle. And again, I'm horrid at explaining, so if you want to look up how to make a triangle, you can, but this is how I do them. So you want to decrease until your thingy turns into a triangle, and basically when you get to the end, you should only have 2 stitches left, and you want to crochet those 2 together, and that's when you get the point for your triangle, which will turn into your cat ear. And after you do that, you want to take your second color, and this will kind of even out your cat ear, and you want to crochet that all the way around your primary color, which for me is this blue color, and that will be your cat ear. I cut a little bit again because right when I started doing the brown, I was literally out of frame for half the time that I was crocheting the edge of the ear. But basically, when you're done crocheting the edge of the ear, this part, you do want to use a yarn needle to attach your ear to your hat, because it's just easier and you can get better accuracy with the yarn needle for small things like this. But like I said, with the big stuff, I prefer not to do that. But for something small like an ear or a very specific attachment, I will use a needle because it does allow you to get better accuracy. And I was deciding if I wanted to use a plastic needle or the metal needle. I went with the metal one because it's kind of, I don't know, easier to work with, easier to kind of get your hands in there, especially when you're doing tiny art. And this is not teeny tiny, but it's kind of tiny. So yeah, and just weave and attach your ear in whatever way you like to do your weaving and stitches. After you finish your adjustments and attach your second ear, your hat is done. And here I have Slothy modeling this wonderful cat ear hat, and I think he really likes the hat. So yeah, it's a cute little hat, and I'm happy how it came out. So I thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.